Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so glad that you were able to join me asynchronously, even though you weren't able to attend class. This recording is for Mod 3 and Mod 4. Both classes will do the same thing. You made it here to our front page and you're watching the recording. I'm going to take you through. There might be times when you need to pause the video to do work and then to come back to the video. All right, since we're on the home screen, this lesson will be for Tuesday, September 15th. Right, scroll past Monday's lesson and come down to Tuesday, September 15th. You're going to click on Tuesday, 9:15:20, lesson 2, looking closely for details. Here's our learning target for today. By the end of class, I will be able to analyze details within an image and look for connections to the unit. I will show I can do this by creating a caption for an image and using the Notice and Wonder protocol. Today, we're going to do a quick do now. You're going to take an entrance quiz. We'll have a little bit of opportunity for discussion, and I'm going to show you the Notice and Wonder protocol, and then you'll create your caption. At the bottom of your screen, on the right, click Next. Here's your do now. Yesterday, we talked about what the process of reading and close reading entails, and we compared it to a funnel. And we start out with something easy, just observing and thinking about what do we look at first. And we ended with discussion, right? Talking about what we've read. Well, in between just noticing what a text is about or a video is about or a song or a poem, and then being able to discuss it, our brains have to make connections in order to learn and process the information that's in our new piece of media or text. We can only make connections once we understand what we're being presented with. An example of this is if you don't know what a thing is and you're reading about it, you don't have any frame of reference. So here's our first example in your do now. I'm going to look at the image that's on my screen, and you may have yours open as well. And this video might be playing in the background, but we're going to look at it, and it is not a full image of something, right? There's not an entire object in that. There's just parts of things. So at first I'm going to look and notice that the sky is blue. Well, since the sky is blue, and this is a real photo and not a computer-generated image, I can pretty safely say that this picture was taken during the day. I also notice that there's an object protruding from the left-hand side, and I can identify that as a wing of a plane. You probably did too. You were like, Mr. Mitzel, that's easy. This means that the airplane is flying and the photo was probably taken from inside maybe one of the seats out the window. So we can like automatically figure that out. That's the process that goes through our brain. I see the sky, it's the daytime, I see what looks like land way down below, there's some clouds, I see an airplane wing. I mean, I can only assume that this was taken from inside the plane. Next, take out a sheet of paper and a pencil, or please use your English notebook that you have there with you. Take out a pen or a pencil, and I want you to look at this image below. Take a second to look it over, and then I want you to write down 2 details that you notice. Okay? Pause the video, look at 2 details, write them down on your piece of paper. All right, now that you wrote down your 2 details, I want you to go back and write down what they mean. Just like we did in the example with the airplane wing, we said, well, the airplane is flying, the photo was taken from inside the plane. Do the same thing with this image. Write it down in a way that somebody else would understand what you're trying to say. Pause the video and come back when you're done. Hopefully you paused. Welcome back. All right, so what did you write down? Did you write down that there's a building in the background and that it has a pagoda style? Or did you say you noticed that there's a lake? Or did you notice that there was some snow in the background? Did you notice that the trees' leaves were not green and that there's leaves on the ground? Well, if you noticed the architectural style, maybe the fact that you wrote down was that it was uh, from Japan, or it looks like a Japanese style. You can make an inference. And I look way over there on the left, underneath the left-hand side tree branch, and there's another roof, so maybe another piece of property, and I see the same architectural style. I also noticed that there was snow and leaves that have changed. So I could infer that this is maybe late fall, or maybe it's the early winter. So those were my details, and then what those details probably mean. I'm making connections with my prior background because I grew up in a place that got a lot of snow, and we're all living in a place that gets some snow in the wintertime usually, and we do see the trees change color. So you're using your background knowledge to make an inference, but really just to notice details and then make connections and make meaning of them. At the bottom of your screen on the right, please click Next. All right, so now we're going to look at how do images help us. If you click on the Google Slide link, it will open in a new tab. Now you can go through these slides right along with me, or you could just watch and take notes in your notebook as I talk through them. All right, understanding images and the future. Okay, so why do we need images and pictures? If you open a textbook or really any book and it looked like this, ask yourself honestly, would you be able to learn effectively if this is what your history book looked like, your social studies book, or your science textbook? Imagine a science textbook. What's wrong with that? Why is this not as effective as something else? We said it's probably not going to be as effective as maybe something like this. Something with images. If you open up a textbook and it looked like this, would you be able to learn effectively? Maybe now you're looking at the picture and you're wondering what's happening in it. Maybe you're who's that guy with the hat, and why is there a map of Cyprus? Well, the images help us do a couple of things. They give us a little taste or a clue into what we're about to read. They give us a sense of what we're reading in the process, and it helps us make connections with things that we already know about. Now, you might have already known about maps and you were able to identify it, but you might not have ever heard of a place called Cyprus, or maybe you have. Either way, you're making a connection with something that you do know about, and it's causing you to ask questions, or at least think of them, even if they're not in question form. But ultimately, those images help us make predictions about what we're going to read or what we are reading. Today, we're going to make some predictions. We're going to try it out and we'll see what you come up with. If you clicked on the PowerPoint, make sure you go back to Canvas. You'll see underneath where we click to get to the slideshow, the Next button is on the right. Click on that. Now we're going to explore. Right, this is in quiz format, and we're gonna just kind of investigate this, and then I'll pause and let you work. Click on the blue button that says Take the Survey. We'll begin a quick quiz that you're gonna take. There's only one question and it's open-ended, which means you need to type your response. Now I'll give you some instruction on this. I do need you to write in clear sentences so that I can read it and understand what you're trying to tell me. So first of all, look at those 5 images. What do they have in common? Anything? What do you notice about them? If you have having trouble making a connection, the first thing you should do in your response is describe what you're seeing. You could go across the top and then across the bottom. You could say, in photo 1, I notice. In photo 2, it's a picture of. In photo 3, I see. Photo 4, I'm able to identify. Just words like that. They don't have to be exactly the same. Pause the video, write your response, and then click submit. All right, now that you're finished and you're back and you've clicked submit, click the next button on the right at the bottom. All right, here's what we're going to do next. While you're looking at the images in the last activity, you probably noticed that all the images included making a decision or showing opinions or people talking about what they believe in. And that's going to be a really big part of this first unit, talking about what people believe in and making decisions. And we're going to discuss the idea about building a future. In your discussion response below, I want you to answer these questions. What kind of future do you hope to have, and why? And this could be answered in any way. You could say, for number 1, what you want to be when you're older, or what are your plans for high school, or what are your plans for after high school? Maybe you can put in a dream that you have, not a dream while you're asleep, but like a dream or aspiration or goal that you have. Maybe it's to do something or to have something. Explain why you want to do or have that thing. Then answer number 2. Does your future change based on the decisions that you make now? Well, why do you think yes or no? Does what you do today affect your opportunities in the future? Or no, your future is really yours to make as you go along, and it doesn't really matter what you do now. Choose a side and then explain. And then lastly, number 3, look at this image below. What does this image have to do with building your future? The requirement for this assignment is that you write 2 complete sentences for each question. Do your best to use your correct punctuation and grammar, like you learned last year and the year before, and then check over your work before you submit it. In order to submit this response, you're going to click on the reply button down underneath the image. After you've finished, come back and you can restart this video. So go ahead and pause it now. All right, welcome back. I anticipate reading your responses. I think they're going to be really great. Click on the next button at the bottom right-hand side. All right, here's our last part. This is called the Notice and Wonder Protocol. A Notice and Wonder Protocol is something you probably already do just inside your head. And this is a really good way to process information. Adults do this all the time. Elon Musk and other top thinkers and inventors, people that are scientists in the modern day, they all use the Notice and Wonder Protocol in some way. So we're looking here at the example image, and I have a little box underneath that I'm going to fill out, and I'm going to do this out loud, but then I would type my answer in the space. And of course, I already did mine to show you as an example, so I'm not going to be typing while I'm talking. So I'm looking at the image, and the first thing that pops out is the first thing that you noticed too. It's an astronaut, and he's maybe in a space station or in a shuttle, but he's in some area where he can move around. I see that the astronaut is smiling, and I notice that there's like all kinds of handles and stickers and all kinds of things, like places to grab a hold, and like I guess they're yellow warning stickers, maybe caution, that's the edge. But those handles are there so that the astronaut can grab on. I see him doing that down at the bottom of the image. Now here's what I'm going to wonder. I'm going to wonder how and maybe when the astronaut got there. I wonder where exactly in space this astronaut is. Is this the International Space Station? Is this inside of a shuttle? I also wonder why the astronaut is in space and what the astronaut's mission is. You know, we don't really think about that, but astronauts go in space and they do experiments, and they do high school experiments. Like some high schools submit experiments and they want to test them out, and the astronauts will conduct the procedure in zero gravity, which is really crazy to think that maybe one day you can be in a STEM program or you can be in a science program, and that you could submit your experiment, and you know, someone in space will be conducting it and then reporting back the findings to you. That's kind of cool. So I'm going to come up with a caption now. I got to take into account everything I noticed. An astronaut holding on, smiling. I need to take into account what I wondered, how we got there, and maybe my caption can kind of allude to my questions. I'm going to call this an astronaut floating in space, smiles for a photo. And I've typed it in. Now you're going to do the same thing. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of this page, you'll see our 5 images. You'll see a couple of videos, and then you'll see something called notice/wonder/caption Mitzel. Now, you are able to type on the document that's below, but I don't think I would recommend it. You can at least look at it, and it might be small. So if you look above where you see the document, there's a blue title of this assignment. Click on that, and it will open in a new window or in a new tab. When it opens in a new tab, the assignment will be there for you, as well as the blue submit button. The blue submit button will appear at the top of the screen. All right, rather than having me click on it, I'm just going to talk you through it from this directions page, even though I've embedded the instructions for you. Choose one of the images from the 5 that are below, whichever one you would like to do. You don't all have to pick the same one. In fact, you can choose the one that appeals to you the most, or maybe it appeals to you the least. Who is in the image? You could consider that. What other details do you notice? What's happening in the image? Does the image show some type of relationship or connection? Don't forget that we talked about all of these images have something to do with making a choice or a decision. Maybe you can relate that in the way that you see it. If you see an image and you're not really sure what you're looking at, then maybe don't pick that one, just for the sake of your assignment and your ability to complete the notice and wonder. All right, now that you've typed in your answers for the notice, make sure you keep those all like, I actually see this happening. I see specific things. Then you're going to go to the wonder box. In the middle, the wonder box where you'll type is where you're going to make your questions or make statements like, I wonder what brought this person here, or I wonder what would happen, or I wonder what the person taking the picture, or I wonder what the artist who created the picture, and then you'll complete those statements. Don't forget about the 5 W's and the H, or the 4 W's and the H. The who, what, where, why, maybe when, and how. All right, after you've typed it in, I want you to make sure that you come up with a good caption for the photo that you chose. All right, you'll have the remainder of class time to complete this assignment. If at any time you need help, feel free to send me a message through the inbox, and I'd be happy to reply to you. We're sorry that you missed class today, but we understand, and it's very important that you come. In the future, we look forward to meeting with you in person, but we do understand if you have an appointment or technology problem. I'm really proud that you took the time to watch the video and to complete this lesson asynchronously. I look forward to seeing you again in class.